Before we start, I want to say that only 1% of you are subscribed. Please subscribe because when we reach 1,000 subscribers, I will post a special video for you. Eli stumbled to the hatch of the medbay, clutching his side where a shard of rock had gashed him during the day's excavation. The atmosphere on Xeris 4 was thin, and the colony's structures were squat, functional, built to withstand the planet's frequent dust storms. He winced as he settled onto a cot, the pain sharp and insistent. "Looks like you've got yourself quite the cut there," remarked Dr. Harlan, the base's resident human medic who had followed him in. Harlan was a broad-shouldered, gruff man with years of off-world medical experience, evident in his calm demeanor. "Yeah, the rocks out there don't play nice." Eli managed a grin, trying to ease the tension in his voice. Dr. Harlan was preparing some tools when the door slid open again. A figure stepped through, tall and slender, covered from head to toe in a seamless bright suit that marked her as non-human. "Ah, Leary, perfect timing," Dr. Harlan said, nodding at the new arrival. "Eli here could use your expertise." Leary, the trio nurse, moved closer. Her species was humanoid but distinctly different. Silver skin, large luminescent eyes, and a fluid grace in her movements. "I am here to assist," she said, her voice melodious but formal, her common speech tinged with an alien accent. Eli looked up, curiosity overcoming his discomfort. "First time being treated by an alien," he chuckled. "No offense meant." "None taken," Leary replied, her lips curving into what he assumed was a smile. She began scanning his injury with a device that hummed softly, casting a pale blue light over his skin. "So, Leary, where are you from exactly?" Eli asked, trying to distract himself from the sting of the antiseptic spray she was now applying. "I hail from Trieg, a world much different from this. It is rich in water and vegetation, unlike Xeris 4, she explained, her eyes not leaving the wound as she worked. Dr. Harlan watched them interact, a slight smile playing on his lips. "Eli's one of our top geologists. Came here looking for adventure, didn't you?" "Something like that," Eli replied, his gaze shifting between Leary and Dr. Harlan. "And it seems I've found it, getting patched up by a trio." Leary paused her work, looking directly at Eli. "We are trained to heal, no matter the species. It is our way." Dr. Harlan handed her a bandage. "And we're darn lucky to have you here. Not many non-humans would sign up for a frontier med post." As Leary carefully wrapped the bandage around Eli's torso, her touch was gentle, her fingers deft. "It is an opportunity to learn," she said softly. Eli noticed the precision in her movements, the way her eyes never wavered from her task. "Do you miss your home?" he asked. "There is always a part of one that remains with their home world," she admitted. "But my duty is here now." "Duty's a strong word," Eli murmured, impressed by her commitment. Leary finished securing the bandage and stepped back. "You should rest, Eli. The wound will heal, but it requires time." Eli nodded, settling back against the cot. "Thanks, Leary. And you too, Doc." Dr. Harlan chuckled. "I'm just the old man overseeing things. Leary's the star today." As Leary and Dr. Harlan left the medbay, Eli lay back, his mind replaying the interaction, treated by an alien on a distant world. It was something to tell his friends back home, if only they could see him now. The pain was still there, but it felt more distant, manageable somehow. With a sigh, he closed his eyes, the events of the day catching up to him as he drifted towards sleep. Over the next few days, Eli's visits to the medbay became more frequent, part of his mandated recovery protocol. Each time, Leary was there, her presence both reassuring and intriguing. Today, he was early and found Leary alone, organizing medical supplies. "Morning, Leary," Eli greeted as he entered, noting the meticulous way she arranged the equipment. "Good morning, Eli," she responded without looking up. "How are you feeling today?" "Better, thanks. This side doesn't hurt as much when I laugh now," Eli joked, touching his bandaged side lightly. Leary paused her work and looked at him, her face unreadable. I am glad to hear it. Please sit. I will check the healing progress. As Eli sat on the edge of the cot, Leary moved over with her scanner. The device whirred softly as she passed it over his injury. Looks like you're healing nicely, she noted, checking the readings. You should be able to resume light duties soon. That's great to hear. I'm not made for sitting around, Eli said, a grin spreading across his face. Leary smiled slightly, then turned to put the scanner away. Eli watched her, curiosity growing. Hey, Leary, what do you do for fun around here? I mean, when you're not patching up clumsy geologists. Leary turned back to him, tilting her head slightly as if considering his question. I enjoy studying the flora and fauna of Xeris 4. It is very different from my home world. That sounds like it could be interesting. Maybe you could show me some of what you found sometime. Eli suggested. Hopeful. Leary seemed to consider this for a moment. That could be arranged. It would be educational for you to learn more about the environment here. Just then, the door slid open and Dr. Harlan entered, his arms laden with supply boxes. Ah, you're both here. Good, he grunted, setting down the boxes. Leary, Eli, I could use a hand organizing these new supplies. Sure thing, Doc, Eli said, jumping up. Leary moved to assist as well. Together, the three of them began unpacking and sorting the medical supplies. Dr. Harlan directed them, his tone light and jovial. We've got some new antibiotics and some upgraded diagnostic kits. Eli, why don't you help Leary inventory these? Of course, Eli replied, eager to be useful. As they worked, Eli found himself glancing at Leary, impressed with her efficiency. You're really good at this, he commented. Leary looked at him, her expression softening. Thank you, Eli. Precision is important in my line of work. Their conversation flowed more easily as they continued the task, moving on to discuss the different medicines and their uses. Eli was curious, and Leary was more than willing to explain the finer points of each treatment. You know, I've learned more about alien pharmacology today than I ever did back in university. Eli laughed, marking items on the inventory list. Leary's laughter joined his, a sound that was becoming more familiar to him. I am pleased to be of assistance in expanding your knowledge. Eli, Dr. Harlan, overhearing their exchange, chimed in from across the room. Leary's the best teacher you could hope for out here, Eli. Makes me think we should have her run a few classes. Maybe I should, Leary mused, a playful tone in her voice. As they finished up, Eli felt a sense of accomplishment mixed with a newfound appreciation for Leary's company. Thanks for the crash course, Leary. And maybe we can take that walk soon? I'd like to see Xeris through your eyes. I would like that, Leary replied, a genuine smile reaching her eyes. It would be my pleasure to show you. Dr. Harlan watched them with a knowing look, but his comments were kept to himself as he moved off to handle other tasks. Eli and Leary shared a glance, both aware that a bridge was being built, not just a professional courtesy, but of genuine interest and perhaps friendship. Several days had passed since Eli and Leary had started their informal sessions on the local ecosystem of Xeris 4. Today, they planned to walk through the surrounding terrain to observe the native plant life firsthand. Eli waited outside the medical bay, scanning the rocky landscape bathed in the pale light of the planet's twin suns. Leary appeared, her medical uniform replaced by a light, durable suit designed for fieldwork. Good morning, Eli. Are you prepared for our excursion? She asked, approaching him with a slight smile. Absolutely, Eli responded, his enthusiasm evident. I've got my scanner and plenty of water. Lead the way, Leary. As they walked, the terrain changed from smooth, dusty plains to jagged, rocky outcrops. Leary stopped occasionally to collect samples or record data. Eli watched her work, impressed by her meticulous nature. Here, Leary said, handing Eli a small luminescent plant. This is called Hala. It's bioluminescent at night. Quite beautiful. Eli examined the plant, marveling at its soft glow. It's amazing. You know, I've passed by these a dozen times and never knew. Leary smiled, pleased. There is much to observe if one is willing to look closely. They continued, moving from one site to another. Eli found himself increasingly comfortable in Leary's company, their earlier awkwardness replaced by a budding friendship. Leary, how do you find living here, among humans? Eli asked as they sat on a large boulder, taking a short break. It was challenging at first, Leary admitted. Gazing out at the horizon, the customs are very different, but I have learned much, and there are commonalities in all cultures, like a love for exploring. Eli added, smiling. Yes, exactly like that, Leary agreed, returning the smile. Their conversation was interrupted by the crackle of Eli's communicator. Eli, come in, Dr. Harlan's voice sounded over the device. Eli pressed the talk button. This is Eli, go ahead document. We need you back here. A new shipment of equipment has come in, and we could use your expertise setting it up. Understood? We're on our way back, Eli replied. As they packed up their equipment, Eli glanced at Leary. Thanks for this, Leary. I mean it. Today was educational, Leary offered, her tone light. More than that, Eli said seriously. It was eye-opening. Leary nodded, seeming to understand his meaning. Together, they made their way back to the base. Back at the colony, Dr. Harlan was waiting, a series of large crates around him. Ah, there you are. Eli, I need you to help configure the new atmospheric sensors. And Leary, if you're not too busy, your precision would be invaluable here. Leary looked at Eli, who nodded encouragingly. I would be glad to assist, she said. The three of them set to work, unboxing and setting up the high-tech devices. As they worked, Eli and Leary explained their morning findings to Dr. Harlan, who listened with genuine interest. These sensors will help us better understand the atmospheric conditions and could extend to helping us study local flora more effectively, Eli explained, handing Leary a tool. Fascinating, Dr. Harlan mused. You two make a good team, out in the field and back here. Eli and Leary exchanged a glance, a silent acknowledgement of their growing rapport. As the day drew to a close, the new equipment was successfully installed and calibrated. Dr. Harlan clapped his hands, satisfied. Excellent work today, both of you. Eli, your knowledge of geology and Leary's precision are proving to be invaluable to our operations here. Thank you, Doc, Eli said, feeling a sense of pride in their accomplishments. Leary also seemed pleased, her eyes reflecting the twin suns setting outside. It is rewarding to see our efforts come to fruition, she stated, her voice containing a hint of warmth. As they left the lab, Eli couldn't help but feel that their partnership had evolved, strengthened not just by shared work, but by shared experiences. He looked forward to what the future might bring, hopeful for more days like this. The routine of shared fieldwork had become something Eli looked forward to, and it seemed Leary did too. Today, as they prepared to collect some nocturnal flora samples under Xeris Ivy's starlit sky, Eli could sense a subtle shift in Leary's demeanor. She seemed more contemplative, occasionally stopping in her tracks, lost in thought. Everything okay, Leary? Eli asked as he adjusted his headlamp, concerned. Leary paused, her eyes reflecting the starlight. I have something to share with you, Eli, she finally said. It is personal, and I hope it does not change things between us. Eli's interest was piqued, his earlier concerns morphing into curiosity. You can tell me anything, Leary. You know that, right? They sat down on a smoothly worn rock, the cool night air whispering around them. Leary took a deep breath. I am currently experiencing what my people call the failing tide. It is a mating season of sorts. It affects our emotions and, at times, our interactions. Eli blinked, processing her words. Oh, he managed, his mind racing. Does it make things difficult for you here? It can, Leary confessed, her gaze fixed on the ground. We trio are solitary during this time, usually. Being around others, especially those I care about, can complicate my emotions. Eli felt a mix of emotions himself. surprise, concern, and an unexpected warmth. I appreciate you telling me, Leary. If there's anything I can do to make things easier, just continue being my friend, Eli. Leary interrupted gently. That is more than enough. Eli nodded, his respect for her growing. Then that's what I'll do. Their conversation was interrupted by a soft rustle in the bushes nearby. Together, they turned their lights toward the sound, spotting a small creature darting away. Looks like we're not the only ones out here tonight, Eli joked lightly, trying to ease the tension. Leary smiled, the mood lightening. Let us continue our work. I would like that. As they moved through the darkened landscape, collecting samples and recording data, the air between them felt different, charged, yet comfortable. Eli found himself more attuned to Leary's presence, her subtle expressions, and the graceful way she moved. Leary, how long does the failing tide last for Trio? Eli asked as they packed up their equipment. It varies, but usually a few months every few years, Leary responded, securing a container. It is a time of great personal growth and understanding for us. That sounds intense, Eli said, trying to imagine what it would be like. It is, in many ways, Leary agreed, but it is also a time of clarity and renewal. It allows us to make decisions about our lives with greater insight. They made their way back to the base in comfortable silence, each lost in thought. As they neared the med bay, Eli stopped, turning to Leary. Leary, I'm really glad you shared this with me, he said sincerely. I mean it, and I'm here, however you need. Leary looked at him, her expression softening further. Thank you, Eli. Your friendship during this time is invaluable. As they parted ways for the night, Eli felt a new layer of connection had been added to their relationship, one that was deeper and more complex than he had anticipated. It was a revelation that he was only beginning to understand, but one he was eager to explore further. Later that week, Eli invited his colleague, Ben, to join him and Leary for their usual excursion into the fields surrounding the mining colony. Ben was a microbiologist with a keen interest in alien ecosystems, and Eli thought he might enjoy the experience. Morning, Leary, Ben, Eli greeted as they gathered outside the colony's main module. Ben, a wiry man with a quick smile, nodded enthusiastically at Leary. Pleasure to meet you, Leary. I've heard quite a bit from Eli about your work here, Ben said, extending his hand. Leary shook it, her expression one of polite reserve. Thank you, Ben. Eli speaks highly of your research as well, Leary replied. Shall we begin? As the trio made their way towards a densely vegetated area, Ben's excitement was palpable. I'm particularly interested in the symbiotic relationships here. Any insights you could share would be invaluable, Leary. Leary nodded, leading them to a cluster of flora that thrived despite the harsh conditions. This plant, for instance, shares a mutualistic bond with subterranean fungi, she explained, pointing to the vibrant blue leaves shimmering under Xeris Ivy's twin suns. Ben crouched down, examining the plant closely. Fascinating. The adaptation mechanisms must be incredibly sophisticated. Eli watched as Ben and Leary discussed the technical aspects, feeling a sense of pride in facilitating this meeting. He chimed in, and it's not just the plants. The wildlife has adapted in some unique ways, too. Yes, Leary added, the nocturnal creatures, especially, have evolved to utilize minimal light for hunting and foraging. As they moved deeper into the terrain, their discussions delved into more complex theories about evolutionary pressures on alien worlds. Ben was full of questions, and Leary answered each with a calm patience that Eli admired. So, Leary, how different is this from your home planet? You mentioned Trig was more aquatic, Ben asked as they took a brief rest under the shade of a large rock formation. Very different. My world is covered in large oceans and dense forests. The biodiversity is immense compared to Xeris 4, Leary explained, her voice tinged with a hint of nostalgia. Ben's eyes widened. Must be beautiful. Maybe you can show us some images sometime. I'd love to see what a forest looks like on Trig. I would be pleased to share some with you, Leary agreed, and Eli noted a slight warmth in her tone, appreciating how she was opening up. Their return journey was filled with lighter conversations, and Eli felt content. The suns began to set, casting long shadows over the landscape. "Thanks for joining us today, Ben. I think it was a good session," Eli said as they neared the colony. "Absolutely, I learned a lot. Thanks, Leary, for sharing your knowledge." "And Eli, for making this happen," Ben responded, his tone grateful. Leary nodded at both. "It was my pleasure. Understanding is best achieved when shared." As Ben headed off to his own module, Eli lingered for a moment. "Leary, I hope he wasn't too much. Ben can get a bit carried away." Leary shook her head, a smile playing on her lips. "On the contrary, Eli, it was enjoyable to share our work with someone as enthusiastic as Ben. It enriches the experience." Eli grinned back. "Good to hear. And hey, if you ever want to talk more about Trig or anything else, you know where to find me." "Thank you, Eli," Leary said, her eyes meeting his. "I just might take you up on that offer." As they parted ways, Eli couldn't help but feel a deepening of their friendship. The day had not only brought them closer, but had also woven their different worlds together, creating a tapestry richer than any of them could have imagined alone. The next morning found Eli feeling unusually restless. He decided to visit Leary at the med bay before beginning his day's work. As he approached, he could hear voices from inside. Leary and another colony member, Mark, a systems engineer, were deeply engrossed in a discussion about the colony's life support systems. "Leary, are you saying the filtration unit can be optimized further?" Mark's voice was tinged with skepticism, yet intrigued. "Yes, based on the trio technology for water reclamation, I believe we can increase efficiency by at least 15% without significant retrofitting," Leary explained, her tone confident and professional. Eli knocked lightly on the open door before entering. "Morning, you two. Sounds like serious business." Mark turned, his expression brightening. "Eli, just a man. Maybe you can weigh in on this. Leary's proposing some changes to the life support systems that sound promising, but are a bit out of my depth." Eli smiled, looking between Mark and Leary. "I'm all ears, Leary. What's the plan?" Leary welcomed Eli with a nod and proceeded to outline her proposal, detailing the similarities between human and trio environmental systems. Her expertise was evident, and her ability to integrate her knowledge with human technology impressed Eli even further. "If we implement these changes, we'd not only save on energy, but possibly extend the life cycle of our current systems," Leary concluded, showing them the schematics on her data pad. Eli reviewed the information, genuinely intrigued. "Looks solid, Leary. Mark, I think we should give this a shot. Worst case, we roll it back, right?" Mark chuckled, scratching his beard. "That's the spirit, Eli. All right, Leary, let's draft up a project plan and present it to the colony director. You've got my support." "Thank you both," Leary said, a trace of relief in her voice. After Mark left, Eli lingered behind. "You're really making a difference here, Leary. It's impressive." Leary looked at Eli, her expression softening. "I am grateful to be useful. It makes being far from home easier." Eli nodded, understanding her sentiment. "I know what you mean. And hey, if you ever need help or just someone to talk to, I'm here." Leary's smile was gentle. "Thank you, Eli. I may take you up on that offer." Encouraged by her response, Eli shifted the topic. "So, how about we take a break later? Maybe a walk? There's a spot I found recently that offers a great view of the sunset." "That sounds nice," Leary replied, her usual reserve melting into a quiet anticipation. Later that day, as promised, Eli and Leary found themselves at the edge of the colony, where the rugged terrain offered an unobstructed view of the horizon. As they watched the twin suns begin their descent, the sky turned a brilliant palette of oranges and purples. "It's beautiful," Leary murmured, her eyes reflecting the vivid colors. "It is," Eli agreed, his gaze not just on the sunset but also on Leary. "It's moments like these I'll remember the most about being here." Leary turned to him, her luminous eyes bright. "And the people," she added softly. Eli felt his heart quicken a bit. Yes, definitely the people. They stood in comfortable silence. The beauty of the planet and their growing closeness, weaving a peaceful end to the day. As they began to walk back, Eli felt a gentle hand brush against his. Looking down, he saw Leary's fingers hesitantly reaching towards his. Without a word, he took her hand in his, and they walked back hand in hand, the stars beginning to twinkle above them. That night, Eli lay awake thinking about the day, the technical discussions, the shared project with Mark, and the sunset with Leary. It all felt like pieces of a new chapter in his life, one that was unexpectedly fulfilling. As he drifted off to sleep, Eli realized how much he looked forward to whatever came next. Several weeks had passed since Eli and Leary began exploring the planet together, growing closer with each passing day. One cool evening, as they were finishing up a survey of a new section near the colony, Eli noticed Leary seemed unusually quiet. "You've been pretty quiet today. Everything okay?" Eli asked, his tone laced with concern as they packed up their equipment. Leary paused, her gaze lingering on the horizon where the two suns met the rugged outlines of distant mountains. "I've been thinking about our project, the integration of Trio technology into the colony systems. I want it to succeed, not just for my sake, but for everyone here." Eli nodded, understanding her pressure. "Hey, we'll make it work. You've got great ideas, and with the team behind us, we're going to pull it off." Leary smiled, her eyes meeting his. "Thank you, Eli. Your support means a lot to me." As they walked back toward the colony, Eli decided to lighten the mood. "How about we take a detour? I found a spot last week. It's not far. The view is incredible, especially at dusk." Leary's interest piqued. "I would like that." They veered off the usual path, walking side by side in comfortable silence until they reached a small clearing. The view opened up to a vast expanse below, where the colony's lights began to twinkle as the evening deepened. "It's beautiful," Leary breathed out, her voice filled with awe. "It is," Eli agreed. He watched her face, illuminated by the last rays of the setting suns, her silver skin glowing softly. Feeling a surge of courage, Eli spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "Leary, there's something I've been wanting to do for a while now, but I wasn't sure how you'd feel about it." Leary turned to face him, curiosity in her expression. "What is it, Eli?" Taking a small step closer, Eli reached out, tentatively taking her hands in his. Leaning in, Eli gently pressed his lips against hers. The kiss was cautious at first, but as he felt Leary respond, a warmth spread through him, emboldening him to deepen the embrace. Leary reciprocated with a tender curiosity that matched his own, her hands moving up to rest lightly on his shoulders. As they parted, both slightly breathless, Eli looked into Leary's large, luminous eyes, searching for any sign of discomfort. Leary was the first to speak, her voice soft and filled with a warmth he had never heard before. "Eli, I'm glad you did that." Eli's heart leapt at her words, relief and happiness flooding through him. "Really?" "Yes," Leary nodded, her smile genuine. "I've been wondering about human expressions of affection. What I feel, it's new, but it's good." Encouraged by her response, Eli squeezed her hands lightly. "There's a lot more to human affection. Only if you're interested, though." "I am," Leary said, her voice firm. "Very much so." They spent a few more moments at the clearing, talking softly as the stars began to fill the sky. When it was time to return, they walked back hand in hand, their hearts lighter than they had been in days. Back at the colony, as they said goodnight, Eli felt a sense of rightness about the path they were on. He watched Leary walk back to her quarters before turning towards his own, a smile playing on his lips, his mind replaying their first kiss under the twilight of Xerisphore. Eli awoke the next morning with a renewed sense of vitality. He was eager to see Leary again, to continue exploring not just the environment of Xerisphore, but the new emotional landscape they had uncovered together. With a smile, He prepared for the day and headed to the colony's communal breakfast area, where he spotted Leary conversing with Jonas, the colony's agricultural expert. "Morning, Leary Jonas," Eli greeted as he approached, coffee in hand. Jonas, a sturdy man with a warm demeanor, grinned at Eli. "Morning. Just discussing some of the hybrid crops we're thinking of introducing next quarter." Leary has some insightful suggestions, as usual. Leary turned her gaze towards Eli, her smile brightening. "Good morning, Eli. Jonas is considering trio agricultural techniques for better crop resilience. I believe it could be beneficial here." "That sounds promising," Eli responded, taking a seat next to her. "Mind if I join in?" "Not at all," Jonas replied. "Actually, I'd value your geological input. Soil composition is a big part of this. After all, the three of them delved into a detailed discussion, with Leary explaining trio methods of soil management and nutrient recycling. Eli contributed ideas on how to adjust the mineral content of the soil using local resources, and Jonas took diligent notes, enthusiastic about the collaborative effort. As breakfast wound down, Jonas excused himself, leaving Eli and Leary alone. Eli noticed a light in her eyes when she talked about her home world's techniques. "It's great to see you bringing so much of Trio here to us," Eli said, his tone admiring. "Makes me want to see Trio for myself someday." Leary's laughter was light, like the chime of soft bells. "Perhaps one day you will. It is a beautiful world, very different from this one." Their conversation shifted naturally to more personal topics as they walked out of the dining hall together. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said yesterday," Eli started, referring to their kiss. "About how it felt good." Leary nodded, her expression open and sincere. "Yes, I have been thinking about that as well. It was a very human experience, but it was also very personal to me." Eli felt a warmth spread through him. "I'm glad because, well, I'd like to continue exploring those experiences with you, if you're willing." "I would like that very much, Eli," Leary responded, her hand finding his as they walked. They spent the day together working on the new agricultural project, testing soil samples and discussing placement for the hybrid crops. Their work was a comfortable blend of professional collaboration and personal connection, making the day pass quickly. As the suns began to set, painting the sky with streaks of orange and purple, Eli and Leary found themselves at their favorite overlook, watching the day fade into night. "Eli, I feel I should tell you something important," Leary said, turning to face him as the first stars appeared. Eli met her gaze, his expression encouraging. "Anything?" In trio culture, sharing personal feelings is considered a deep connection, not just of minds but of spirits. "What we are sharing, it is significant." Eli took her hand, his voice steady. "I feel that connection, Leary, and I respect it deeply." Leary's eyes shimmered with a mixture of emotions. "Thank you, Eli. That means more to me than you might realize." As they stood together under the starlit sky, Eli felt a profound bond forming between them, deeper than any either of them had anticipated. They were not just cross-species colleagues. They were partners in a shared journey of discovery, both scientific and personal. The night deepened around them, and as they finally turned to walk back to the colony, their hands remained clasped, a silent affirmation of the bond they were building. As the Xeris 4 project neared a pivotal phase, the colony buzzed with activity and anticipation. Eli found himself in the thick of it, coordinating efforts between various departments. Today, he was scheduled to meet with the colony's engineering lead, Tom, and Leary to discuss the integration of trio water purification methods with the existing systems. Walking into the conference room, Eli spotted Leary already there with Tom, a tall man whose practical approach to engineering had solved many a crisis for the colony. "Morning, Eli, Leary," Tom greeted, spreading out some schematics on the table. "Glad you could make it. We've got a lot to cover." Eli nodded, taking a seat next to Leary. "Morning, Tom. Let's dive in." Tom began detailing the current setup, pointing out potential areas for improvement. Leary contributed with insights from her trio knowledge, suggesting subtle but effective modifications. Eli listened, occasionally chiming in, feeling a swell of pride in how seamlessly Leary worked with the team, her ideas both innovative and practical. Tom, if we adjust the flow channels like Leary suggests, we could increase efficiency and reduce maintenance needs, Eli proposed, aligning the team on a unified approach. Sounds good to me, Tom agreed, impressed. Leary, could you help our techs understand the finer points of the setup? Of course, Tom. I'll prepare some guidelines and assist in training them, Leary responded, her tone enthusiastic. As the meeting wrapped up, Eli and Leary walked out together, their earlier discussions giving way to a more relaxed conversation. You were fantastic in there, Eli said, his admiration clear. You really bridge our worlds. Leary's cheeks took on a slight silver hue, a blush for her kind. Thank you, Eli. I am learning a great deal from you as well. They decided to take a break, heading to the small garden that served as a green refuge in the harsh environment of Xerisphore. As they sat on one of the benches, surrounded by the vibrant colors of genetically adapted plants, Eli took Leary's hand in his. Leary, being with you like this, it's made this place feel like home, Eli confessed, the depth of his feelings evident in his voice. Leary squeezed his hand, her gaze intense and full of emotion. Eli, I feel the same. I did not expect to find this kind of connection, not here, not in this way. But I am grateful for it. Their conversation drifted to plans for the future, discussing both professional projects and personal hopes. It was during these moments that Eli leaned in, kissing Leary gently. The kiss deepened, their mutual affection and understanding passing between them in the quiet of the garden. It's not just about surviving on this planet anymore, is it? Eli whispered after they parted. No, Leary whispered back, her voice steady and sure. It's about thriving here, together. As they walked back to the main complex hand in hand, Eli couldn't help but think about how their relationship had grown, from cautious professional interaction to a deep, committed partnership. They had navigated not only their cultural differences, but had also built a bridge of genuine affection and respect. That night, as Eli lay in bed, he thought about the phrase Leary had laughingly quoted during one of their first meetings. My alien nurse has suddenly entered mating season. It seemed like a lifetime ago, and yet it encapsulated their journey. One filled with unexpected turns, challenges, and now, a shared life on a distant world. The story of Eli and Leary, though filled with the technicalities of survival on an alien planet, was fundamentally about human and alien connection, proving that the heart could find a home, even millions of miles from Earth.